memory, and the question of hero or even criminal has already been asked. Here in Beijing, though, as a third party, what do you think they'll be saying at this time?
Well, even though the Sharon is a very controversial figure in the Middle East, even in the whole of the world, but I don't think for that we will not say anything about him. At least he is a person suffered from a coma for such a long time, and he has been struggling for maintaining the safety and security of Israel, and also trying, especially during the late half of his time being the prime minister, he tried very hard to reach the peace between Israel and the Palestinians. So I think at least we should send our condolence, deep condolence to Sharon's family and also to the people in Israel.
Of course, he had many conflicts within his own country, particularly with the current Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. And it'll be interesting to see how he chooses to react to the death as the current head of government. Of course, there were many problems between these two men, two very strong characters. And Sharon has described Netanyahu as a person who is easily pressured, who gets into a panic, he said, a person who loses his senses. To run a country like Israel, a leader needs to have reason and judgment and nerves of steel, two traits that Netanyahu simply doesn't have. Not so much about Netanyahu, but more about the characteristics that Ariel and Sharon thought was necessary to lead a country, a young country like Israel, only 65 years old to this day. Do you think that he will be remembered as a person who really did have the nerves of steel, or as someone who simply didn't listen to potential partners in the US and particularly his closest regional neighbors?
I think Sharon, if we compare with the current Israeli prime ministers, these two people have two different characters, and also two different backgrounds. Mr. Sharon was born, and he was joined in the army or the guerrilla war in the early days of Israeli fighting for its independence. And as a soldier or the commander, he fought bravely in the so-called the major wars Israel had engaged with its neighboring countries very bravely. He is remembered as a soldier, brave soldier, as a commander, very brilliant commanders. But for Netanyahu, he is like a civilian, very nice facing, had very good education in the States. Though I think the two characters are very